Hi, this is Mr. Cardoso, and I'm just taking up the remainder of the review from what we've done in class. This is ICS 201, and we're looking at some functions, strings, and animation. So this question says, I think it was just asking for the header, the function header, not the actual function. So a function that takes the length and width of a rectangle and computes the area. So we start every function with var, and then a good name for this, so it's doing the area. And since it's doing the area of a rectangle, maybe I can put area rect equals function open bracket. Now this is where we put the parameters, so this is my variable name for the length, comma, and my variable name for the width. Now I have to open the brace, close the brace, put a semicolon. So again, this question didn't ask for the function body, just the header itself. Okay, number 8, so we don't have to do anything inside. So number 8, write a function that will take two parameters, length and width. Your function will draw both an ellipse and a rectangle with those dimensions at 200, 200. So this one is saying write a function, the entire function, not just the function header. So we have to write the function header plus the body inside. So again, we start with var, and let's give it a good name. So it's going to draw a rectangle, so maybe, and an ellipse, so maybe draw shapes equals function, and let's give it length and width again are our parameters. Okay, so open the function. Okay, now we have to write the body. So it takes this length and width and it's going to draw an ellipse. So let's draw an ellipse. And of course the dimensions go first, so it's 200, 200, the x and y dimensions, and then the length, or sorry, the width goes first when you are drawing an ellipse, if you recall from the documentation. So the width goes first and then the length. Okay, so I put this variable here and this variable here, so just be careful about that because of the documentation of the ellipse. And a rect again at 200, 200, and again it's width first then length, so the reverse of the order of our parameters. Alright, and now we can close the function. So that's all that function was asking for. Alright, let's go down to, now we just need to write a line of code that will call the function. You can put any values for the input. So we need to call this function draw shapes. So we just write simply draw shapes. That's the name of the function, and we've got to give it some value. So let's say for the length we want it to be 30. Again, it says you can put any values for the input, and so I'm just making up these numbers, and 50. So that's, if I execute this line of code now, it's going to run this, and it's going to create an ellipse and a rectangle, of both of which have a width of 50 and a length of 30, because remember they're opposites there. This one gets mapped into the length, 30 gets mapped into the length here, and 50 gets mapped into the width here, and of course they get switched over. Okay. Number 9, write a function that will take the base and height of a triangle and return the area. So just change the color here for a little change. Recall that the area of a triangle is given by base times height divided by 2. So again, we start our method with var, and it's going to find the area of a triangle, so I give it a name, area tri maybe, and equals function, and it's got to take the base and the height. So let's put here base and height. These are my parameters. Sorry, that seems like a spelling error there, doesn't it? H-E-I-G-H-T. There we go. And now I need to actually calculate it, so I can make a variable. Remember to indent your code here because it's inside the function. So var area. So that's just a local variable. Again, you cannot use it outside, but this is, I'm going to use this to calculate it. So I'm going to go in brackets base times height, and then divided by 2, semicolon. And now this answer is in area for the but we need to return it back. So we need to use the keyword return area. If we don't return it, then this function is useless because it did the calculation, but it didn't send it back. Whereas this function up here in red, draw shapes, it was useful even though it didn't return anything because it just drew shapes directly on the screen. This one doesn't actually draw anything on the screen, it computes something, it calculates the area, and that's going to be no good unless it sends it back. So that's why you have the return statement in this function. Okay, write a line of code to call your function for a triangle with a base of 3 and a height of 4, and put your answer in a variable called try area. So to call the function, we have to use the name of the function, so that's area try. Okay, so this, whoa. I made a little mistake there. So the name of the function is area try. So I need to call that, and I need to send in the data that I need here. So I need a base of 3, so that goes in here for base, a height of 4. So again, make sure to put them in the right order. Since the base is 3, that should go in first because the base is the first variable, and a height of 4. So maybe on the test I'll switch those up to see if you're paying attention. But this one maps into the base, and this one should map into the height. So make sure you get that. So that's pretty much all it is, but again, we either need to, this gets a result, so it's going to actually compute this. It's going to go 3 times 4, which is 12, and then divide it by 2 up here, which gives us 6. But what is it going to do with that? So this, right now, it's not doing anything. It's computing it, but again, it needs to either put it somewhere, say in a variable, or maybe in a text to output it. Now this one specifically says, put your answer in a variable called try area. So then I'm going to create a variable called try area, and that gets the result of this. So that's going to get the 6. This 3 is going to get mapped into base, the 4 is going to get mapped into height. It's going to calculate it, store it in area in the local variable. It's going to send that value that's inside area back to here, and this whole thing is going to be replaced with that answer. Alright, moving along to the next question here. What should you do regarding programming style? Question number 10, when writing functions. So programming style, there's pretty much 3 things. You can tell by the fact that there's 3 marks. So there's 3 things we should do. One is to comment above, not above her, but above the function header. Okay, so you can use the similar, slash star star, give a description of your function, what's your function going to do, and then star close. So just like you would there, it's back. Just like you would at the top of your program. You can comment it like that. Okay, so that's one thing. What else can you do? Programming style, you have to indent the body code. So that's all of the code that's inside of the function, inside of the curly braces, the open curly brace and the closed curly brace, it should be all indented. And finally, give a good name to the function. And also has to be in Camelback format. So the same way as your variables. Sorry, I'm not sure why it keeps disappearing on us. Okay, and in question number 11, we have the lyrics of a song here, one of my favorites, and what we have to do is code this using a function for the chorus. Got some extra stuff here, let me get rid of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a function called print chorus that will print the chorus, because that's the thing, this is the part here that happens more than once. So since it happens more than once, we decide to put it in a function and call it whenever we need to. The rest of the verse 1 and verse 2, we've got to do it manually. Now in the question it says, since we're using the text command, and the text command requires that we put an X and Y position, it says that just use X and Y, not to worry about where it is, because otherwise we would have to, put in values for it. So let's get started. Let's actually make the function for the chorus first. So var, let's write a little smaller so it'll fit here on the screen. Print chorus equals function, and we open and close bracket because it doesn't need to take anything in, it's just going to print it. So I start with text. Okay, now to save time I'm not going to write the whole thing, but what you would do is, where the streets ... and then name. Okay, so I'm not going to write the whole thing because it won't fit, and then I have to put X and Y here. So X and Y. Sorry, it's off the screen, I know. Okay, so so I'm gonna write all of these just like that. So open quotations, again, where ... name. So again, I'm not writing the whole thing just to save space. And quotations, X, Y, semicolon. And then I'm just gonna do a ... this way as well, because I'm getting lazy, as you can see. You should write the whole thing out though. And then finally text, I'll do the last line here. It's all ... do close quotations, X, comma, Y, semicolon. Okay, and so I've done all of this stuff in a function now. Now that it's in a function, I can call that function. So down here, I need to semicolon here. So now I actually start with my verse 1 and my verse 2. So verse 1, I'm going to do the same thing, text. So this was I want to feel. I want to feel. Typos, okay. ... face, sunlight in my face. Okay, X, comma, Y, and then ... I'm gonna go down to the last line here because I'm getting lazy. Text where ... name and quotations, X, comma, Y. Okay, so there's my verse 1. Okay, so after I do my verse 1, I just need to call my print chorus. So I go print chorus. So this is where my function comes in handy. So I go print chorus, semicolon. Okay, now that's done. And now I need my verse 2. So I'll, put my comments here. Verse 2, comment here, verse 1, and then I've got my print chorus in there. So verse 2, I do the same thing. Text, the cities, ... flood, X, comma, Y, semicolon. Okay, and then I'm just going to scroll down to save some time.